It also says in Section 6, you have the right to pursue a livelihood anywhere in this country. And then number 7 says, Section 7 says, you have the right, listen to this one, to life, liberty, and you also have the right to your security of the person. Nobody is allowed to touch you unless you agree. And then Section 15 says, to top it all off, we topped it off by saying every person in Canada is equal before the law. You're just as equal as Justin Trudeau. You're just as equal as John Horgan. You're just as equal as Adrian Dix. And by damn, you're really just as equal as Bonnie Henry.
Fear is the most powerful form of coercion on earth. Fear has taken over their thought process. Fear has overridden their logic, their context, and indeed their entire lives. Governments have used fear to control populations all throughout history. This is nothing new, but apparently many folks have never read history books. And that is more dangerous than any virus on the planet. These type of people are a problem. They give governments social license to stomp all over our freedoms. They allow this nightmare to continue. And the irony of it all is that their fear is largely unfounded in every way. I mean, we could talk all day about data and statistics, but the underlying fact is that driving a semi-truck across Canada is far, 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 far more likely to land a person in hospital than Omicron sniffles are. Context really does matter. Of course, exceptions do exist, and there is some risk with what's going on in the world the last couple of years, but exceptions to a rule don't prove a rule wrong. Nor do they justify driving the population into depression and bankruptcy due to government overreach. Not to mention the skyrocketing number of people taking their own lives and the overdose epidemic. Our Constitution includes the Bill of Rights and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. One of the non-arguments that statists like to use to justify the violation of our Charter is Section 1, which states, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms guarantees the rights and freedoms set out in it subject only to such reasonable limits prescribed by law as can be demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society. These people and the federal Liberal government are trying to claim the virus is a justified reason. But of course this is nothing of the sort, and their overreach is not legally justified. Don't believe me? How about we listen to a man who actually wrote the Charter? His name is Brian Peckford. He is the last surviving signatory of the Charter, and he is taking the federal government to court because they are overstepping their authority and abusing the Charter. He spoke to a crowd in Vancouver. Have a listen.
Why in 1981 we brought in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which wasn't passed by the Prime Minister, it was passed by 9 provinces and the Prime Minister. It's a national document that applies to everyone here today and everyone all over Canada. So understand, except for the creation of the country in 1867, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is by far the most important document in the history of our country. Section 2 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, what does it say? It says you have freedom of expression, you have freedom of conscience, you have freedom of religion, you have freedom of expression, and you have freedom of the press. What else does it say? It says you have freedom to associate. You have freedom to assemble. And in Section 6 it says, you have the right to travel anywhere in this nation, anytime.